Welcome and good evening. My name's Annette McLaughlin, and I'm a career coach, training professional, and do a multitude of different things. And it's great to be here tonight for Fordham to help with your alumni in career development regarding LinkedIn. Prior to tonight's session, I kind of took a pulse of the room one-on-one to get a feel for the audience, because there are really two different presentations I can do for LinkedIn, or there are probably about 1,000 different presentations I can do for LinkedIn. And I could probably stand up here and talk for the next 365 days. Having worked with it and I've trained recruiters since 2007. So I worked in a recruiting firm, head of talent and development, and hired recruiters. And in 2007, we started using LinkedIn to find passive candidates. And so I have been training on it and using it for quite a while. And I very much think it's one of the most powerful tools you can use, whether you're in the job search, whether you're a recruiter, or whether you're doing business development. Tonight's presentation, as I talk to people, but I'll get another pulse from the room, is how many of you feel like you've already got a profile set up? It may not be perfect, but you're using it. Okay. Is there anyone that has not set up a profile or doesn't understand the basics of LinkedIn? Okay, just a handful. So in talking to the audience, what I gained from the people that I spoke to was that it was more important to learn about the strategies and the techniques and how to fully utilize it or utilize it more and more effectively. There are a lot of resources for how to set up your profile and your basic profile. There are a couple of things that I think are very important as far as managing your settings. So I will cover that, but I'd rather spend most of my time actually on LinkedIn answering your questions and showing you ways to navigate it and fully utilize it in order to be more successful. Am I in consensus with that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And for those of you who have never been to one of my presentations or met with me, I love questions. I love interaction. I think that's all how we learn and how we grow. I do have a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to show you about 5 slides, and then we're going to go straight to LinkedIn. And then that's where I think you can get the most benefit. So my background is actually over 25 years in corporate training and development. I'm a UNC Chapel Hill undergrad. I'm from Virginia. I got my graduate degree from Georgia State University. I'm a former marathon runner. I completed Boston a long, long time ago and hung up my running shoes after that. As far as marathon shoes, I still run. I'm quoted in a couple of different publications for my insights on career and job search. Basically, I've been helping people find jobs and write resumes and network since 1988. My second job out of college, I was sitting in front of a room of 200 people that had just gone to a paralegal school. So it was a secondary proprietary school. It was postgraduate to become legal assistants or paralegals in law firms. And I was 24 years old telling people that were twice my age or 3 times my age how to find a job in the world of work. And I've continued to do that, and it's something that I absolutely love. Recently, I joined a nonprofit organization. I work full-time leading the Blueprint for Talent initiative, which is connecting people to the jobs in the market. So for those of you who aren't aware, we have a huge disconnect and gap between the people, and you are the people, you are the talent. 65% of the workforce is currently disengaged. They are unhappy at work. They may be employed, or they could be unemployed or underemployed. So there's a huge population that's not in the right job at the right time. And then over here we have the employers, and in the region alone we have over 3,000 jobs that employers cannot fill. And I'm on the front lines talking to employers every single day. What is it that you're looking for? How can I help higher ed? How can I help businesses? How can we close this skills and training gap and bring them closer together? Because to me this is ridiculous. Because I'm talking to the people that want to work, and I'm talking to the employers that need people, and there's a huge disconnect. So that is something that I'm very passionate about and working towards, and that's one of the reasons I love doing these workshops, to help educate, encourage, and empower you to hear options, see a better future, and to move yourself forward. So with that, LinkedIn which is why we're here. Their mission is actually to connect the world's professionals and make them productive and successful. This is the actual LinkedIn mission. This information comes before Microsoft bought LinkedIn. So now that Microsoft has bought LinkedIn, some things may change. What I've heard may change is that when you go on Outlook, Microsoft Outlook, to request a meeting of somebody, now that they're part of LinkedIn, your LinkedIn profile may show up in the meeting request. Has anyone else read or heard that? Okay, so there are going to be more changes now that they're part of Microsoft, but the original intent of LinkedIn was to be an online portal to connect talent at every level, and to online to network. There are over 400 million professionals, 3 million companies, Fortune 500 executives are all on it, and 64% outside of the US plus 200 countries. So if you think LinkedIn is a fad and it's going to disappear, I don't think it is. I think it's here to stay and it's more powerful. I will say that over the course of the last couple of years, it's become more difficult to navigate as it's grown with its users, because you do have people that are utilizing it in a way that it wasn't initially intended. And what I mean by that is LinkedIn was initially intended to connect professionals online so that you could network. When I started using LinkedIn, I was in a talent development or HR role, and if I had a question about how to send people overseas or to get visas, I could go into my LinkedIn network and email one of the HR and ask them for their resources. I do find it's become more of sales-oriented and people, actually reaching out to sell you something. That was not its original intent, and I don't think that's the usage intent as we move forward. But why LinkedIn? You do need to manage your professional brand and identity. It can promote your company brand and yourself. And when I talk about company brand, you are a brand yourself. So whether you're using it as an individual or whether you're using it to promote your company, it does both at the same time. That's also what's new about the world of work. And with the internet and social media, you no longer can live two lives. You used to, not to date myself, but when I was in college and growing up and professionally, I could have my personal life and I could have my professional life, and the two didn't really intersect unless I wanted them to, right? Now with social media, it's much more intertwined, so that if you're reaching out to somebody for a meeting or a job, they're more than likely going to look you up on LinkedIn and see what your profile is, see what your background is. How many of you think that's a little bit creepy? Okay, and that's why I asked that, because some people's perspective is, it seems odd that someone's looking at my profile on LinkedIn. That bothers me. I'll hopefully change your perspective. I think you're doing your research and your due diligence. I look at it as a good thing that someone has looked up, that's interested in finding out about my background, what I do, to find that common bond and the reason to connect. So it's everybody has a different perception of LinkedIn, and I'll tell you how you can sort of try and figure out how they utilize LinkedIn and what their perception might be. But basically, it is your network. It's a way to find, build, manage, and engage people. The world of work and life, I always call people are the fabric of our lives. And, I've taken that from a quote somewhere. But people are the fabric of our lives. You work with them, you hire them, you have to interact and engage with them. LinkedIn is a tool that's used to network online. You still have to have a face-to-face or at least a video conference or Skype and connect with them personally at some point, either in the hiring process or in the business process as well. So it's also a way to access knowledge and gain insight. There's sometimes I'm at my desk and, I cannot remember what we did before Google existed. Someone will ask me, what's a word or what's a thing, and all you have to do is Google it. It's the same thing with LinkedIn. Someone will ask me, who do you know in this industry or in this company, and I'll immediately go to LinkedIn. So on my day-to-day desk, either in my business as a career coach and trainer and consultant, or as an employee, I have LinkedIn open pretty much all the time. Now, I will warn you, any people in legal, compliance, or finance, Okay, for those of you in those highly confidential and sensitive areas, you need to understand what your social media policy is and how you can and cannot use LinkedIn. So you as employees need to know what the guidelines are and how you can utilize that or not. Because you don't want compliance coming to your desk or sending you an email. What are you doing spending all this time on it? And that's another thing. Know what the policy is and whether you should be doing any of this at work on the work computer or whether it should all be done on your own devices and after work hours. So that's another gray area within social media, how and when you use it, that you need to be aware of. Many businesses, how many of you use LinkedIn for your work? Okay, so many of you use it and you have a good business use. But once again, just be aware of what it is and how you're using it. So the three areas that LinkedIn is working in and moving towards are they want to be your own identity, your own brand, so your own website, a network to connect globally professionals around the world, and a knowledge base. Lynda.com was bought by LinkedIn. So now there's a whole learning platform on LinkedIn that you can access through what was Lynda.com. They're all now part of one. So these are the three areas as LinkedIn moves forward that they're concentrating in. And this is the CEO or his LinkedIn, a screenshot of his LinkedIn profile. And I just bring this up so that you know some of the things to look at profiles because we're going to go to LinkedIn next. Here's my profile or the screenshot as it was when I made this presentation, which I don't know if it has a date on it. But basically, I stopped making screenshots of LinkedIn because they change it every day. And I actually have screenshots of the original LinkedIn in 2007 because I used to do training, and it looked nothing like this. There were no graphics. It was very simple. It didn't have the media, so it's a very robust platform today. And that's great for you either as job seekers or candidates or employees because there are a lot of ways that you can add to it. When you're setting up your profile, and this is the last screen we're going to do before we get to LinkedIn itself, in order to become what's an all-star, and that's on the, if you went over to the right there, you'll see where my profile strength is just short of all-star. You will never get, that blue will never be all the way to the top. They will always have something else you can add to your profile. So it will never be complete. So you can aspire to it, but then they'll add a new function that you then have to add something else to. But what that means is it'll help tell you how robust your profile is compared to other users on the site. And what it's evaluated on are these different criteria. So obviously you have your name. The section under your name is what's called your headline. And what you want your headline to be is you want it to be something catchy. Well, depending on your industry, how catchy you want to be. It's less about Senior Vice President of Marketing and more about LinkedIn evangelist, marketing professional. You want key words that people who are looking for you would look to find you. Yeah, so your headline, and this is where the world of work has changed. We used to all have our identity tied to an organization, the IBMers of the world, and I can say that because my dad was with them 33 years. My brother is with them 35 years now. They're still dinosaurs, IBMers of the world, where you were a traditional employee, you worked for the same company for your entire life, you retired, you got benefits, and you were taken care of. That's not today's marketplace. The average employee changes roles every 3 to 4 years. And so it's a very different world. So no longer, you used to have a career ladder where you would move up, senior vice president on up to managing director. Now that's not the same. So a headline is a better way to present yourself by using those keywords that you're known for your area of expertise. One thing is to look at other people's profiles, find a model profile of someone you want to be 2 years from now, 5 years from now. Find ones you like and that resonate with you. When you're putting together your resume and you're thinking about yourself as talent in the marketplace, and I describe talent as skills, knowledge, and abilities, as well as your personality and cultural fit. In the government world, KSAs, skills, knowledge, and abilities. So it's, what are your core competencies? That's what you want to think about that headline being, what are you really known for as a core competency? And that makes sense that someone would recognize you. Another way to figure out whether your headline is right is ask a friend or a colleague or someone you work with or your mentor, how does this present me? So get a third party objective opinion as well. Your location, obviously you have to choose where you live. Some of you may, or the different cities or location. The work history, that's a fact. The other thing about LinkedIn is all of this is considered, it must be true and verifiable, okay? I have had situations in the recruiting world where someone's offer was rescinded because their LinkedIn profile and their resume did not match. Or, on a nice way, you could say they over-exaggerated on their LinkedIn profile. On the not-so-nice side, you could say they just outright lied, which people do. And you don't ever want to do that because it's your reputation, it's your online reputation, and you want to make sure that you're being truthful and everything that you put on is true and correct. So your work history, the photo. So the photo should be a representative of you in a professional light. And it should be a headshot. You don't have to pay somebody to do a photo. You can get a very good photo from your iPhone as well. I do not want to see dogs, sunglasses, kitty cats, hats, your spouse, your partner, your friends, your kids. And you'll see all of that on there now. But if this is your professional profile, it's the same photo you would use if your company asked you for a headshot for a brochure or for their catalog or for their website. If you're a professional and you do speaking engagements, you should have a profile and a bio. So once again, I'm giving you my opinion and what I've seen to be best practices and what most employers look for. This is still your profile, your choice. So if you want your dog, your sunglasses, your beach, that's your choice. And knowing what industry you're in and how that's going to be perceived is also important. But if the purpose is, your professional online profile to show you in a business light, then that's what I would recommend. We all have many different facets of our background, skills, and experience. And if you're a career changer or you're changing jobs every 3 to 4 years because that's the norm, and you're going to change careers, I think it's about 5 to 20 different jobs and 3 to 4 different careers within your lifetime. Those are the new stats. So how do you have a one-size-fits-all? Because your history is your background and that's your past. What I recommend is there's a summary section, which is, we were talking earlier about the objective on the resume. It's your professional summary on your resume. And instead of what they can do for you, which the objective is hire me for this position, you use the summary section either on the resume and the profile and your LinkedIn profile to show you what you can do for them. So it guides the reader as to where you want to go next, not so much about your past. Does that make sense? So the dates are going to be the same because you're not going to change that. You can use, if you're a career changer, you're changing jobs and industries, then your work history, you may have only a couple bullet points or it may not be as relevant. Where you're going to want to highlight if you're changing roles or industries is in your volunteer work, your interest. You want everything on your LinkedIn profile to show a potential employer that you are committed to this as a career and as a next step, and therefore you're volunteering, you're doing this, that, and the other, and it's all in that next step in your career path. I want to know what you're hiding. Why do you not want me to see your face? I mean, there's nothing, maybe if you're, I think my initial reaction, that's the first time I've had that question. But if you're branding a company or branding a new name and that's what you want to be present, then I could see that as being a positive way to do that. The LinkedIn profile is supposed to be your own personal web profile and you as a person. There are LinkedIn pages or groups where the logos are more prevalent. But I'll look now, next. What concerns is when you see someone and there's the gray face, that there's no photo. Either they're not truly a LinkedIn user, they haven't taken the time, this isn't important to them, they may be hiding something, I don't know. I mean, it just makes you, and I've forgotten it's a psychological, there's a mental piece of this, where when someone sees your face and can see your eyes, they want to connect with you and they want to bond. When they just see a blank silhouette, which is the gray silhouette, when you don't have a photo, it's just noise. It's not a real person. And I apologize, I don't have the specifics, but I do, it is a psychological reason why. And there's a higher propensity that they're going to connect with you and want to engage in some type of dialogue. So the skills, to get your all-star profile, your education, and you put your undergrad and your graduate, you can also put any certificates, certifications, anything that you've done that you think is relevant that you want the public to know. Your skills are the ones that you add in, and those are your core competencies. It used to be 50 connections, so you have to connect with at least 50 people to kind of get that all-star rating. And then personalizing your URL. Does everybody know what your URL is? So you have a unique link to LinkedIn, and I'll show you how to personalize that when we get on LinkedIn. And you can use that on your resume, you can use that in your email signature, you can use that everywhere to brand, so that when you send someone an email, they just link on the URL link, and your LinkedIn profile will automatically show up. Make it easy. If I have to go to LinkedIn, look you up, I've got 2 steps where if I can click on URL, it's 1 step and you're there. And I get to see what I want. So, and then it used to be recommendations. Now it's, actually that's a new thing. Recommendations are an old thing, but down there they're a new thing back. So you used to have to have recommendations in order to be all-star. Then they started this, where's the thing where you just click? Endorsements. They got rid of recommendations because they were too burdensome and people weren't doing it. So they created the endorsements. So you can endorse anybody for anything, and you would be amazed. I get endorsed for cooking. I can't cook. I can do a lot of things, but it's surprising what people will endorse you for that you don't even know. So endorsements are fine. I don't put a lot of weight in them. And it's a nice thing you can do for someone else because it comes up on your LinkedIn profile to endorse other people. And if you actually know them, work with them, and really could endorse them for that, go ahead and click. It's an easy 2 seconds and you're helping someone out. The whole LinkedIn, it's a collaborative give and take. We're all in this together to help each other move forward in our careers and in our professional lives. So that's the profile and the strength. Any questions on that? Sure. So in the profile, so now I'm in LinkedIn, I'm never going to make it all the way to the top. No matter how hard I try, there's still going to be a little more I can do. So the endorsements are, and all the way at the bottom here. They are the skills and endorsements are ahead of, recommendations are all the way at the bottom. Yes, recommendations are all the way down at the bottom here. So they show up in different, and this is an example of do as I say, not as I do. I haven't updated my LinkedIn profile in a while, and I probably need to delete some of the clutter. If you remember, I made it in 2007. And I've just continued to add, and I haven't weeded and taken out anything. So there's a lot of experience on here that I could really weed out and make a little bit cleaner and more targeted for my audience. So, and I'll show you some better profiles than mine as well. But to answer your question, the endorsements are right here. And so for, I've been, recruiting is one of my areas of expertise. I've been recruiting for a long time, more than 20 years. And so people can endorse me for recruiting, and then I can see who endorsed. Linda Purcell. She's amazing. She's a Fordham alum, and she does a lot of work for Fordham. So she recently endorsed me. Where did she go? And so I was clicking on her. I can go ahead and go back. You can click on the people that endorsed you, or you can get out of the screen. And you can see everybody who did endorse you and for the different skills. So how is this important for a potential employer? What does this mean for you? So if someone were looking at my profile and they were looking to hire a recruiter or talent acquisition, organizational, or HR, you would see that a lot of people have endorsed me for these skills. So you're pretty confident that I can do those things, right? Then you go down, I've got a lot of other skills. I actually do a lot of internet recruiting, and I'm pretty good at it, but no one's endorsed me for it. So you choose which skills you want to put on there. That's where you choose the skills, and then other people can endorse you. So your question was, they endorsed me, and now they're asking me to endorse them. My question to you is, do you know them, and do you know that they're good at that skill set? Yeah. Then just ignore it. Okay. My personal opinion is ignore it. I take LinkedIn as I'm verifying what people did, and I've hired a lot. I've hired over 1,000 people. I've helped over 1,000 people recreate themselves in this new world of work since 2008, and I think it's pretty important that my information is correct. So I'm not going to endorse you if I don't really think you're good at that or I don't have firsthand knowledge. It's very easy to endorse. It's more difficult to write a recommendation. And so that's why they put it in here, to make it easier for people. But I think in making it easier, they've diluted the value. That, once again, I don't work for LinkedIn. It's just my personal, as a user, how I perceive it. And as a hiring manager, how I perceive it. So when you set up your profile, so when we go to the LinkedIn, the first tab is your home page, but I'm going to go straight to your profile, the second tab. And what you'll do is you'll edit your profile. So for those of you who are new to setting up your profiles or want to edit, this is where you would go. And then you can go down to the skills and endorsements section and add different skills. So here, now that I'm in edit, I could add a skill.
And then that goes to your place.
Right. So you know what? I'm just going to, and I can also delete. I think I can delete. Like I could clean up a lot of this because it's a lot of extra stuff for an employer that's looking at it. But so it's in your, to add the skills and endorsements, that's where you would go. And then if you feel like you've got too much junk, you could delete it. I am not adding any more skills. I've got enough. Okay. And so so when you go to edit your profile to make it more appealing for your audience and to utilize it, here I have under my headline, and here's another thing. So I do have my first name, my maiden name, and my married name. If you can put multiple names on there if you think that's appropriate. A lot of people don't know me by my married name, even though it's been 20 years. They know me by my maiden name. So I do have that on there. If people from my first couple of years out of school or my undergrad are looking for me or from my hometown, then they can find me that way. I do put MBA. I go back and forth whether I like that or not like that. It's the JD, MBA, how do you want to put yourself as a title? It's the old Esquire if you're an attorney. It's a personal choice. Because I do a lot of work in higher ed, I believe that the master's degree has credibility and credentials. But once again, it's your personal choice. You don't have to do that. I did. I added, it could be like a junior or senior, and you can just add it in. Let's see. Yes, I just added it to the end here. So here are the titles or things that, under here, that headline, what do you want to be known for? So if you're in the job search or you're looking for a new opportunity or you want to explore new opportunities, what are the keywords that someone would be looking for to find you? And that's what you want to put. So I do a lot in talent development, coaching, speaking, talent strategies. I do have my title here. I'm Director of Blueprint for Talent. And my company name, I'm the Chief People Officer for, I have my own company, so I got to make up my own title. So I chose Chief People Officer. And that's what you do when you run your own business. You get to choose your own title. And so those are the things that kind of brand me and what I've known for. Interestingly, when I chose the Chief People Officer in 3.5 or 4 years ago, no one had that title, or very few people. Now you'll start to see it pop up a lot more. Chief Talent Officer as well. So, yes? I prefer not to put seeking on there. Because you want to, each of you as an individual, you're each special and unique, and you want to be perceived as that in the marketplace. By putting seeking new opportunity, you're presenting yourself as a commodity, in my opinion. So they're going to find you if they're looking for you, whether you're employed or not employed, whether you're seeking or not seeking. If a potential employer, hiring manager, recruiter, HR person finds your profile, they are going to connect with you and reach out, whether you're seeking or not.
So it's not necessarily.
So, but I would, if anyone has a different opinion, and do we have any recruiters or coaches or HR professionals in the room? I'd love your perspective.
Yeah, I would agree with you. We haven't used LinkedIn for that much in terms of recruiting, but I would agree that putting the seeking there in this menu makes it look like you're more needy than somebody settled.
Right. So great. So you want to present your best self and be confident in who you are and your skills and abilities. It doesn't matter if you're seeking or not. Once again, it's a perception. 86% of recruiters, corporate recruiters, are using LinkedIn to find people. 86%. So one of the things when I polled the room, because I know we've spent a lot of time on kind of the profile and things like that, is how do you use it? What are your strategies and tactics? So what I've done is I always go to advanced search. Okay, so if you don't know advanced, up next to the hourglass, click advanced. How many of you use advanced search? So what I do to find people that you want to connect with is the name of the company. I do like to use Fordham, but if we don't know that you went to Fordham, just because you're trying to narrow a search and find a common bond. So any of your schools are going to be common bonds. Let me see if I can, so you said, I don't know this person, how can I connect with them? When you're trying to find people in specific industries or specific companies, you want to use some connection. Fordham is a great connection. You're all Fordham alumni. Fordham alumni of everywhere. Fordham's alumni love Fordham alumni. They will talk to you. They will connect with you. They will help you. It's the Jesuit way, and I can't say enough about it. You think I feel strongly about this or what? It really is. And I mean, I've experienced this firsthand. So that's my first connection that I go to, is the school. Is this company a very small company? All right. And are they located here in? Oh, they're in Los Angeles. Okay. Okay. Well, this is a random search, and we'll see who is in my network that went to Fordham and that went to Perry. Tyler, that works at Perry. Oh, I got one person. Okay. So I ran a search, very narrow search, and Marissa is the art directory at, which is a part of, let me check this out. She's the part of CBS, but where did I see the Tyler? It's past tense. Okay, that's fine. Past, thank you. So it highlighted the yellow. Sorry, I'm used to touch screen. So it highlighted where she was, and she worked there for 4 months in Atlanta. So right here, you have a warm connection to the person at Tyler Studios that you want to connect with. Because it's a Fordham person, the fact that she's not there now is even better. Because people may talk more freely about their experience and what it was like to work there and how they got there. So I don't care so much as if you're currently there or past, because I'm using LinkedIn as my due diligence, my research, a way to find people to connect with a common bond. Does that? The other thing that when we did this search, which I'll go back, sorry about that. When I went to her profile and I clicked on her, you also see other people also viewed these profiles. So by finding the person at Tyler Studios that went to Fordham, I'm finding other people that are somehow connected to her that must be in that industry or that environment or that company. So you always want to click on where other people viewed. So the downside of LinkedIn is you can get lost in LinkedIn searching forever. Because I can click on this person and then take me to another screen and another person and another person. So I recommend scheduling, do you have 1 hour to do your research on LinkedIn, and then you actually have to take some action too. There's the research and identifying the people, and then you have to actually connect and reach out. So that would be when I found her, then I go to send her an end mail. I have the free subscription. I do not have premium, so I don't have any other access other than what is free. And so I would connect. How do I know her? And you have to say classmate, colleague. It's not going to come up with Fordham because I don't have Fordham as my classmate. But colleague, classmate, choose the company. We've done business together. Choose the company that you worked for. And then you want to write a personal note. Hi, Marissa. Was it Marissa? I see that you're a Fordham alumni. I recently ran across your profile. I'm interested in learning more about Tyler Studios. I see that you were there, a couple years ago. Do you have some time to talk? And then I personalize it, put it right there, and I put my telephone number. Okay. I know that was one of the questions as I was talking to the audience. So, how do you use it? How do you connect? How do you get people to engage? One way not to get them engaged is just to send the generic, I'd like to connect with you. If you want them to truly engage, take a few seconds or minutes to write something personal and give them a reason to connect with you. Number one reason is they're part of your alumni. Number two, is the industry or the function. What is going to be your ask? You're not asking them for a job. You're asking them for information. You're wanting to connect and build a relationship to learn more about their industry, their company, their career path. I see you as a successful, and don't use too many words. I got one of these I got a voicemail today. It was 1 minute and 45 seconds, which is fine, but there were so many superlatives that, about the company, about my background. I was like, just tell me what you want. I don't have 1 minute and 45 seconds to listen to this, because then I got to call you, and then I'm going to spend 20 minutes on the phone talking to you, which I did. So it's like, I saw your profile. I saw that your company recently did a sports marketing event. I wanted to learn more about it and learn more about innovation and what your organization is doing in innovation. That happened to be the conversation. Not, you're the best. Anyway, it was too many superlatives. So keep it simple. You only have 300 characters here, and there are many times where I go over my 300 characters. How many of you have gotten the red, can't send because you put more than 300, right? It happens to me all the time because I like to talk and write a lot. So I go back and I delete all the little words. It's just like anybody that's ever done a resume. You can get rid of the, and. You can take out every single little word. If you do presentations in PowerPoints, it's one line and get rid of all the little words. It does not change the meaning of the content, and the message will get across. People don't even read the little words. They skip right over it. So you can, go from 320 characters to 300 in a few seconds. questions on this? Because this is, when you find people, then how are you going to engage? Yes?
To address that lady's question, I think friend will get you to that person. Sometimes there's some blockers.
Right?
But I think friend will always get you through. And you don't have to be their friend.
You don't have to. The only one that, so friend or we've done business together.
I think others.
It's I don't know. Oh, they've changed it.
Yeah, maybe they changed it.
Oh.
Other asks for email.
There used to be blockers for that. There still are?
I think if you try to go out,
Try them all.
Well, okay, so here's, how I said be truthful?
I think it has to do with what the recipient has on their end in terms of their settings.
Maybe he's right.
If they're open and willing to talk to anybody and everybody. So there are some. LinkedIn used to have a lot more blocks that unless you really knew them, you couldn't connect. So it may be in their settings or your settings as well. So if they're on their mobile phones, they're just accepting. So they didn't even read it. Okay. So, but the good news is they accepted you. Like you're in their network now. It's not a lot of times if they're a complete stranger and your message isn't really compelling or it's not top of mind. People are crazy busy these days. With family, with work, with job, with life. And so. Your job search, if you're searching for a job, is your number one priority, and you are hanging on to every single email you send and every single connection. But that's not the receiver, and they may be good. So it's that balance of if they accept it, great, wait a couple of days, and then follow up. This is where you have to do the balance between am I stalking them? Am I nagging them? What's the balance? And for each person on the receiving end, that's a different answer. What I do to gauge how they use LinkedIn is with the profile. So here, the first thing I look at when I'm going to connect with someone is how many connections do they have? And if they have 500 plus, they're a pretty robust user. And they're probably going to connect with me or they know how to use LinkedIn. So that gives me an indication that they use it. So that's one of the things that I look for. It's just like in business development or sales, which that's what the job search is. It usually takes about 7 times of trying to connect with someone before there's an actual conversation. Like the average, if you're doing cold call sales, a complete blind call, it's going to take 7 attempts that before they actually acknowledge. You have to say the right thing at the right time that they're receptive to listening to. And I'm not saying that it's going to take 7 attempts with LinkedIn, but it might take 2 or 3. So don't expect on the first time that they're going to connect and then they're going to say, yes, let's meet for coffee today. But you want to see. You can follow what they're doing. You want to join different groups to make a stronger connection and really engage. You're looking to engage, but there has to be a reason. Does that make sense? From me, no. I've only used the premium account once for 1 month. I did my 1 month free trial. Only because I was doing a LinkedIn workshop and LinkedIn had locked me out because I'd done too many searches lately. Oh, okay. So when you're on LinkedIn and you run too many searches in a specific, I think it's a 30-day period, you get a niceogram that says, you're at the commercial use level. Please sign up and pay for our services. So clearly you're not using it enough to get locked out. But they don't want recruiting firms, so they have a business platform for corporations and for third-party recruiters to pay for the services so that they have unlimited searches and so that they can, use it as much as they want. And the free subscription, there are some limitations. And you can see what those limitations are when you look at your profile versus what's yellow in mail and what's not. For you, if you're going to, and I'll throw this back to the audience, how many of you have premium subscriptions? Okay, a handful. How many of you think it's a great idea? A handful. Okay. So if you're in sales and you need to send out a lot of emails, if you're going to connect with a lot of people, or you're in your full-fledged job search and this is going to be your main source of connecting, then it could be worth it. So what do you find the value in the premium piece? So for today, it has value. My prediction is over time there will not be any more free services. So they've built up a platform. They've built up, it's the premium. They get you in for free, freemiums. They get you in for free, and then eventually they've been cutting back services since 2007. What you used to be able to do versus what you can do today has been cut back dramatically. And so you used to be able to connect with third level connections, no problem. Now you got to go through either a second party as well. So if you're gonna pay for it, use it. Is my theory on that. And there is value in it. I know we want to talk about tricks and tips. I want to make sure that, so under your profile you have all of this, how to update your profile. Are you all familiar with your Find Alumni section under Connections? No. Okay. So LinkedIn has under My Net two things. One, add connections. This is caution, be careful. When you click on Add Connections, it will ask you if you want to download your entire Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, AOL, other, etc. Import the file. You do not want to do that. Because basically, how many of you have ever gotten those generic requests from they hit that and they hit this, do you want to connect? And then it went into your address book and it grabbed all your connections and then it emailed an invitation to everyone that they could connect with. Once again, I use LinkedIn as I would a true Rolodex, and they really are people I either know or do business with or want to connect with. It's not just an open field. I'm not a lion. Do you know lions? Lion? LinkedIn open networkers. If you ever see the term lion behind someone's name, it means they will connect with anybody and everybody. Just so you know, LinkedIn doesn't like lions anymore. So you want to go into your connections and delete them. In another, I call it weeding my garden. Sometimes you just have to go into your garden and take out the weeds that don't belong there anymore. Okay, it's the same thing with your connections. Or if they got there by mistake, like weeds get in your garden by mistake, you need to go in and clean them out. So you can go into your connections and you can actually delete them. And so that's what you have to do. It's kind of, yes, you can get rid of, you can find that. So yeah, you actually go into your connections and delete them. So just be careful, as you're trying to build a good network, you want it to be a relevant network, not just a big network. So there are different perspectives on LinkedIn. Is it your true address book? Like, could you pick up anybody and call anybody in your LinkedIn network and have a conversation with them? That would be your true Rolodex and your address book. Or is it, second level, people in your industry, people from your college or university that you want to connect with, or have some warm connection? So,
well, for me personally, on most of the people, I've connected them with them in some sort of way, whether it was school or work or at an industry event. So that's the majority of my LinkedIn.
Right. So, and once again, it's a personal preference. Do you want to be a LinkedIn open networker and connect with anybody who wants to connect with you? Or do you want to be targeted that they're really kind of people I know and want to connect with and are relevant to my world? Yeah, and your world can be, your job, your professional, what you're looking for, we talked about earlier creepy and people stalking, and it was a little weird when my 17-year-old son's girlfriend's mother wanted to connect with me on LinkedIn. I was like, all right. I don't know her personally, that to me was like, do I really, she's a professional, so I connected, but it was sort of like, that really is my personal life, do I want to connect with her on my professional life? And in the end, I connected, but I did stop and think at that one. I don't know this person, they're not in the industry, and I only know her through my son. So I had to think about that one, but I connected in the end. Sure. So the groups, your interest groups are under interest, and you've got companies and groups. So groups are very, very beneficial. You want to connect with the groups that are in the field that you want to go into. Earlier today, I said if you're changing industries, changing fields, then connect to those fields that you want to go into next. You're trying to educate yourself. You're trying to learn about the industry, and so therefore you want to be part of those groups. And when you connect with groups, you can talk to people in those groups. And then you'll find people, you can post things. So Harvard Business Review is a really great group to be a part of just because it has a lot of wonderful content that's very highly regarded. So that's definitely one. You can then, what is this one about? How writing to-do list helps your brain whether or not you finish them. That is true, and I believe in that. Although I should probably read the article, I'm going to like it anyway. I can read really quickly. That is a brain study, and I have read it, and I believe it. Once again, I should probably read the whole article before I like it. I would certainly read the whole article before I commented on it, because you want to come across as an industry expert and as someone who knows what they're talking about, not someone who's just filling up LinkedIn and liking things that's creating extra garbage for people to read. So groups you definitely want to join groups. And when you join the groups, let's see, so I'm a member of, all of these groups. They're all recruiting. I do a lot in healthcare. The association, professional organizations. If you're a member of Association Training and Development, SHRM, ASPCA, APA, CPA, join your professional groups. That's where you want to, social workers, all of those professional groups, you would want to join them if that's your field. And then you can, you get their content, you get their feeds, and you get to connect with their members. So if you're not a first, second, or third level connection, but you're in a group, you have the ability to communicate with that person. And then you're going to see relevant content to your industry and your group, and you can comment it, or you can say to someone, I saw the article, I was really interested in learning more about how your organization handles XYZ, and now you've got another way to connect with them other than, I saw your LinkedIn profile, I want to connect. So groups are absolutely wonderful. And it's a way for you to learn more, especially if you're changing industries or fields, and to connect with more people. The interest, so this is companies. If you're looking to, for jobs, you want to search the companies. You want to follow them. So for those of you that are in the job search, I hope you have a target list of organizations you'd like to work for. For those of you who are in the workforce who are disengaged in your organization, I hope you have a target list of companies you want to work for. For everybody in the world of work, you should be looking at companies that you want to work for. And you should be following them. You should be following, or are they your competitors? What are they doing in the industry? Follow those companies. When I'm hiring somebody, I look at what companies they're following. And if they're not following my company or similar companies in the industry, then I question how committed are they to this job, to this industry, to my company. Any comments on that and the use of companies and following? Well, it depends on what your job is and how it's perceived in your workplace to follow companies. So the initial intent is not that you're following every place you want to work, it's that you're following companies that are industry leaders. So I would put it back to a business case as why it makes sense. You bring up an excellent point, though. If you are working for an organization and you are actively looking or passively looking for a job, you need to be careful about who's in your network and what you're putting out there on LinkedIn. And if you go from having 0 activity on LinkedIn to all of a sudden 100 connections a day and 3 posts a day, if you go from 0 to 100, your employer and your network is going to wonder what's changed and why. Now, of course, everyone in this room can go back and say, I went to a LinkedIn workshop at Fordham to learn how to use it for professional development. So now I'm utilizing it for professional development. So now you have the answer of the why. In all seriousness, you do need to protect your current employment situation as well. So you don't want any red flags or yellow flags that are going to show up. Another one is if you were connected to your boss and all of a sudden you delete him from your connections. They'll go from first level to second level connection, but it might be a yellow flag. So you just might want to be careful about that. That's actually the first thing when I tell people how to set up. So to get to your privacy settings, you go to the far corner where your face is, and you manage your privacy settings. When you are, they've changed the format, and then somewhere they ask you, do you want to go back to the previous version of settings? And I click yes. And now I have to log in again. So they just changed the view, and this is the view I'm more comfortable with. So you go to your privacy settings, and one of the things, turn on off turn off your news broadcast. So this is one you can turn on off. Choose whether or not to share your profile edits. You can turn on or off your activity feed. So these are all things, when you're updating your profile, you want to turn that off so that your network isn't getting updates every time you change. Every time I do a LinkedIn workshop and I forget to turn off my settings, I get a lot of activity on my LinkedIn profile. So these are the things that you definitely want to be aware of. And you can manage blocking. So if you are being stalked, you can block people. And then these are all things that are your choices. Best practices are to be comfortable with how you set your settings. You can show your connections or you can hide your connections from everybody. If you think that your network is going to be considerate and polite with your connections, then I would leave them open. If you think that people are going to raid your connections and use them for sales purposes, I would keep them closed. Yes, this is where you set what type of profile you want and how you're viewed. This is your public profile. This is how you can see what people, if they Googled you, what they would see. If how you show up is manage how people who have your phone number can connect. They've actually added a lot of different things. You can do your tweet and WeChat is here.
I was talking about when you're searching somebody.
Right.
You don't want them to know that it's you.
You have 3 choices. How you show up is as you or as a person in your industry or completely private. When you change that to a completely private setting, you can't see them at all. If does that make sense?
You do it.
Yeah.
You do it.
Yes. Manage.
It's there, select what others see what you do.
Where is it down in this area? It is up, right?
No, it's the fourth one down.
I couldn't see it. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It's hard to see up here. So you can choose, you have 3 settings. Your name, like you as you are, semi-private, so just generic, no photo and what my title is, or what industry, and then completely private. if I were to select this, it's actually going to get rid of all of my history. Once you turn it off, like once you select that private. So my question is, if the purpose of LinkedIn is to connect with other people, why do you want to be private?
Well, you might have a meeting with someone.
Yes?
Not necessarily want to, they may not be the one, they may be one of several people in the room, and you may not want to advertise that you're looking them up.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, my perception on that is I do look people up when they call me or email me or want to have a meeting, just to get a background of their, who they are and kind of what's a common bond, and then I actually connect with them. Or I will, if I look them up, then I'll say, you know, I know we're going to be at this meeting, you know, it looks like we have some common things, I might connect with them. To that note though, if you are in the job search, the recruiters don't necessarily want to connect with you if you aren't already a connection. Did that make sense? I've heard from recruiters, if you're currently in the job search, if you're not already a connection, they may not want to connect with you. After they either hire you or do not hire you, it's okay to connect. Now that's just a couple of recruiters' perception, but you know, any other feedback from HR or recruiters? Yes.
No, if you don't want the person to see that you looked them up, just log out of LinkedIn and look up your name, and you'll see your profile anyway.
Oh, good point. So Google, my best friend, there you can go to Google, is what he's saying, and I don't know, anyone want me to look up their profile?
Brian, R-Y-A-N. Masaho, M-A-S-A-J-O.
I don't even think I have to look up LinkedIn, but his profile,
M-A-S-A-J-O.
oh, M-A-S A-J-O. Did I do that? I know, it's so small. Sorry, I can't see it either. Is that you?
Yes.
So you can Google everything anytime for meetings and see what shows up. So if I'm here, does it know that I looked you up? No, because this is the public profile. So you can just Google. So what this is going to show you is what he is allowing me to see. So where I was a minute ago in the LinkedIn profile was manage how the public shows up, your public's persona, and that's what you show. What type of public profile you have shown up. Does that? Not necessarily connections. But it did show who people that looked at Ryan also looked at these people as well. So it's definitely get to know your face over here and your privacy settings. That's very important. Okay? The advanced searches, I want to make sure, we get through enough of the searches and the content. You've got message, yes. Part of it is LinkedIn's way to get you the premium. Part of it is they're adding additional blocks or settings or privacy that you can pay for. So if you're going to be a free member, you're only going to have access to certain things. It doesn't always. But it's how the person sets up their settings. Here's what you get with the premium, and then you have to email them and cancel it. I think they...
No, it's going to cancel it in LinkedIn. It's in your settings.
It is in the settings.
It's hard to find because
Yeah, they make it deliberately hard to find.
It's hard to find. I'm not going to... Yeah. I'm getting to we have to get all your questions in the next 10 minutes. So I'm not going to hunt and peck through the privacy settings, but I want to make sure, but I'd be happy to, follow up offline.
the help
And the help.
can answer a million questions.
The help answers a million. Here are conversations as well. I know one person, one of the questions was, how do you make people want to connect with you, and you make some relevant thing. There's also, here are all my conversations. You can say happy birthday to people as a way to do something nice, giving something, and congratulate, these are people that I know, and you can go through very quickly and congratulate them or say happy birthday. And then it's amazing at how many people will actually respond even to these generic things. Yes. So up here, these are all my ongoing conversations that are coming up. And so these are conversations that are in process or people that are coming up. It's also when you log on to LinkedIn for the first time, it'll say, when you go back here, it's easy updates when you're in your home. Up to the right here, so every morning, every afternoon, I will kind of go through whose anniversary is it, who's made a move, congratulate people, and it really is genuine. Actually, if I don't know you and I don't care, I skip you. So if I see it, but and sometimes I'll personalize it. But you can skip this, or I can congratulate them or say like in a couple of seconds. So in a few seconds, I can send them a message. Normally I would personalize it a little bit, but it's an easy way to keep people, okay, this is an old boss of mine. I will send her a personal message, but I'm not going to do it right here for you. But that would be where you can, those people that you know want to personalize, you want to do that as well. So I'm going to take 2 more questions. Right? No? So go back to, stay on this page. So the your network connections, your alumni, it automatically, I got to get out of here. I have to leave. So it automatically, I went to Georgia State Business School. So the data analytics behind this, do we have any data analytics, Fordham people, MS, data analytics? Go work for LinkedIn. It's amazing. And they've got tons of jobs in data analytics because they pull together and they have all this data for you to use. So this is my graduate business school, and you can change your university for undergrad or graduate, and you can sort, by industry or location as well, and where they work.
So can you press show more? The little show more thing down a little bit, just below those, right there.
Oh, show more is, okay. Sorry, thank you. So these are all the different ways that I can sort. Do I want to know, and I can put in specific searches too. So if I wanted to go back to who I know that's an alum of Chapel Hill that works at Goldman Sachs, where did it go? It will pull up all the alumni from my organization that are at Goldman that attended between 1900 and 2016. Just to make it fun. So I would have narrowed that search had I been taking a little bit more time to put, some relevant, because now it's going to take a while to search this. So this is a way to find people and companies that you want to work with and connect with that are alumni, and they've already aggregated the data here for you. Not yet, to my understanding. So the alumni page is not limited as of yet. So this is where you can find more, people. It's already got your schools there, and then it's aggregated the data, and then here are all the people. Oh, so it did do it. So here are all the people that went to Chapel Hill that work at Goldman Sachs, and I could connect with them, and I have 2 warm connections because I went to Chapel Hill and I worked at Goldman Sachs. So now I would have a legitimate reason to reach out to them about something as well. So that's a key one to use. So I know, yes, all right, this is So the summary is a short paragraph. You know, it could be your bio. You want to give the reader of LinkedIn an idea of where you're moving forward. So, you know, your name, mine is written also in third person versus first person, and that's a personal choice. Some people say it's generational, some people say it's personal choice. So you choose whether you want to be I or you want to be speaking of somebody in the third person. You want 3 or 4 sentences. It would be the same summary that's on your resume if you have a resume. And then but with LinkedIn, you're not limited to space, so you can add more information. They've cut off even what they show of mine. So this was actually a small bio, and the core competencies and my specialties are underneath it as well. So you can put those core competencies, you can put where you're going next, but it would be the same summary that you would put on your resume if you were doing a professional summary. Does that answer? I think if you can get it down to 3 or 4 sentences, 4 sentences that it's going to grab someone's attention and it's not duplicating what's already in the profile. Does that make sense? So you want to add more information, not add clutter. So if you can do it in 3 or 4 sentences, less is best. I've got too much on mine. Like I said, I created mine before. Yes. So you can add documents, photos, links, and videos and presentations all on your first page of your LinkedIn. And that's what you want to do. Because everything is about an image, everything is about a video, and that's what people remember. They remember pictures, they don't necessarily remember words.
So it would be like a link, or could they link it?
Yes, you can do the link. We are going to have to stop the formal presentation because I know the Fordham has to clear the room. I'm happy to answer some additional questions, but in the respecting everybody's time as well. Happy to stay and answer a couple of questions afterwards. But hopefully, you found this beneficial. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to stay connected and answer any more of your questions. There is, as I said, I could spend 365 days talking about LinkedIn nonstop. So it's something that I think is a very valuable tool for both the business and for the job search. And I hope that you got value out of tonight's presentation so that you can take at least 3 things that you learned and actually start to implement it. And what I would like for you to do is, can you write down 3 new things that you learned now that you can take action on so that you do remember it. And then thank you very much. Thank you, Fordham. Thank you, Kelly, Alumni Relations.